Hello everyone, welcome to this live session of our Axel Tech presentation. Good morning or good afternoon according to where you're looking us from. We're connected with people from Europe, Asia, Africa and the Americas. Thank you to Gianluca Righi, our director, and our event organizer Stefano Grego. Today we're going to speak and talk about our ingest software called Xingest. If you have any questions, I wish to remember to you, you can use the bell icon in the YouTube page on the upper right corner for the chat to make some questions eventually, or just use the Facebook chat if you're watching from Facebook. Let's go with the product presentation. As I was telling you, it's called Xingest. We wanted to dedicate a little time to the program since Xingest was born actually as let's say a component of our XTV and suite, automation suite. So usually when we do the presentation of the XTV automation suite, we dedicated more time to the playout, which is the, let's say, the main component. And Xingest is usually, you know, something very fast that we say, okay, you can ingest. Today we want to focus on the ingest product just because we added some cool new features to it, and during all these years of development, actually the features which are built in are very, very numerous. So let's start saying what type of inputs. Okay, an ingest software is a software which allows you to get a video feed of some sort from various sources and then actually capture them to hard disk using an encoder, so with video codecs and audio codecs. So let's see our sources. I'm going into the capture settings, and as you see, I'm using a Decklink card here. You can use any Decklink card from a mini recorder, which is a really, really cheap card from Blackmagic, with the Duo, with the Extreme. You can actually use the Decklink 8K Pro and do capture in 8K. We do not limit the resolution and the format that you can use for the capture. We also support Asia cards, Magwell, DeckTech, Bluefish, and others as well. Of course, Blackmagic is maybe the most popular due to the very good ratio between quality and price. We also have other features which are NDI. I want to show you this one. So NDI is built into all our softwares, and we're using both inputs and outputs, and I'll talk about that. So when you're in NDI, we have a special source selection button, which is this one over here. You see the list of all the NDI streams which are on your network, and you can choose any one of them and use that for the capture. And then the last, most important source for capture are URLs. This is kind of interesting. So you can use it also to actually capture directly from the network. You can capture any typical IP stream, RTMP, RTSP, RTP, but also HTTP, why not SRT, which is a very new format which is becoming very popular. Here I have a UDP stream which is coming from my network LAN, so I'm just going to open the port, which is 1234, and I'm going to go OK, and what the system will do is actually use that. So SDI, NDI, and URL. When you're using SDI and URL, you can use a handy, let's say, a tool, let's say, feature which is built inside, and convert that to NDI. So actually, the Xingest software, as is, without recording, without capturing, is able to do a conversion from SDI and URL and stream it to as NDI to your network, so you can reuse it as you like. And this is, since it's not capturing, you can use it without a dongle. Of course, Xingest is a paid product. It has the hardware dongle. If you download the demo version, you will able to use it, and capture is limited to 1 minute just because, so you are able to evaluate it. But there are certain features which are actually free and built in, and this is one of them. And if you are using NDI or SDI, you can also use the IP output option. This is also free, and I want to show you. You can choose any type of IP output, so the system is actually doing an encoding. And you can use RTMP to go to YouTube and Facebook. You can use UDP to stream on the LAN. You can use a DVB compatible streaming. This is interesting. You can use it to enter an encoder, or better, a multiplexer in a DVB head end, avoiding to buy an extra encoder. We have SRT built in inside, so we support SRT both in input and output. And then I have some older formats, which are RTP or IIS live smooth streaming. One thing is, for Apple HTTP live streaming, this is HLS, very common on the internet. And what you have to do, you assign a folder where it writes the transport stream files, and then it makes a M3U8 playlist, which you can then publish on your website. So who's familiar with that, for sure he will like this option. Okay, and this is the IP, the input and conversion part, okay? Let's now go into the real software application, which is ingest. What do? First of all, you decide a name. Let's go with test 4. You decide a format. And as far as format are concerned, we have many, almost all of them. So let's start. These are just a few of the profiles you can create. These are, let's say, factory presets which we have made and put in the list, but you can make your own formats as well. So we have Apple ProRes for the Apple lovers, DNX HD for Avid lovers, DV in various flavors, GXF, which is Grass Valley, IMX, which is Sony. We also have the XDCAM HD version for Sony. We have Matroska here, QuickTime, generic QuickTime, MPEG-1, MPEG-2, and so forth. Okay, I'm going to go to MPEG-4, which is kind of interesting because it's very, very popular. And I'm going to select the video encoder. So as far as video encoding, I have several choices. We supply a software-based CPU, open H.264 codec, which is open source by Cisco, and so it's free, and it's also kind of light, so it's kind of interesting. Of course, if you insert a NVIDIA card into your system, and you can choose between a GTX card, any card will do. A GTX will allow you 2 encoding sessions. If you put a Quadro P2000, 2002 now, I think, you can get multiple encoding. There's no limit, multiple sessions. So here with the NVIDIA, what you're going to do is you're going to use the GPU to actually do the hard part of the work, the encoding process. For HD, nowadays an i7 can do a lot of several streams of encoding process via CPU. But if you're going to go 4K or 8K, you should have the GPU installed in order for the video card to do that for you. So I'm going to choose an H.265 encoding just because I have it there and I can. I'm going to select the target folder, just a folder on my hard drive, press the recording button, and I am recording. Let's see some of the GUI. Of course, you have video coming in, audio levels, total time of capture. I also have a segment here. I'm going to show you that later. Then I have IDR, which is instant data rate, so you know how much data you're actually putting on the hard disk. So I have 5 megabits per second on the hard disk. IDR is referred to 5 seconds, so kind of short. ADR, average data rate to the entire file. And then, since I know I have 3.5 terabyte on my hard disk, I can keep on recording for 9 weeks and 68 days. Okay, that's cool. So what can I do while I'm recording? I can listen to the audio preview. So this will allow me, if I have some USB headphones or something like that, I can listen to the audio through the Windows operating system. And I can also switch. This is kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the recording to the next file. So the name of this file was test 4. If I switch, actually, he goes on with the numbers. So he's seeing that I have the test 1 was actually not used as a file, so he's going to go on and enumerate. During the switching process, this is kind of interesting, we don't lose any frame. So, then you can take the 2 recordings, put them like on a editing timeline, and play it out, and it's perfectly smooth. Oh, let's go with some questions from Federico. Hi, Federico. Can you address support of closed caption when using RTMP streaming inside Xingest? I would say we have support of closed captions inside. So even if the closed caption is being in input and in output, there's always the possibility to support that. I want to show you. When I output, as far as closed caption is concerned, I just need to specify embed CC, a parameter in the mixer. So I have it there, and if I put it to true, it will enable, let's see what it says in the combo, closed caption ATSC into a length-term video stream, but limited to MPEG 2, MPEG 4, or H.264 video, which is a technical limitation. As far as the input is concerned, if I have CC in the SDI, I can receive that. Let's see how that is done. I think I have some settings in the capture. So capture, here I have enable CC, closed caption, and VANC, which is vertical ancillary data. Actually, the closed caption is embedded in the vertical ancillary data in SDI, so enabling that will allow your capture card to actually get the extra data. And then when you capture to a file, you can decide whether to embed that directly into the file. So in that case, for an MP4, I have it here. Or you can decide to write that ancillary data in external files which have SCC and VACC extension. So you can use it in both ways. Then, of course, the CC information which is built inside in our playout products will actually be read and restreamed again, or re-outputted again into the SDI or into the IP output. So let's say that closed caption management is kind of very, very transparent. You just have to enable the settings, and then they will be input and output automatically. Okay. So I wanted to show you a very interesting feature which is built in, which is the scheduler. So the nice thing about the scheduler, it allows you to schedule your recordings. So let me go in edit. So you can just give the name of new recording, like that, and then decide a date and a time for the recording, the duration, if you want to split your files, if you want to automatically overwrite, and so forth. This can also be for a single date or recursively for weekdays. So every Sunday at 2 o'clock, you can do this. And the nice thing is there are kind of different types of selection as far as files, syntax is concerned. And one of the nicest one is what we call folder and file, where you can decide your folder. And then you can actually decide a syntax. So let's say you're recording your news, okay, at 7, let's call it like that. And then, since I'm recording every day in the same folder, I want the system to actually add a naming syntax that will allow me to recognize the recordings. So what I'm going to do is I can choose it from here, and I can choose one which I like, which can be, maybe let's go with this one over here. And then, so at the bottom line, file name test, the system will actually show me how it will write that specific syntax. So it will be news at 7, 10 February, 2001, 04_14. When there's a character in the syntax which is not allowed into the file system, operating system, it will put an underscore instead of the selected character. So this allows you to actually create these files in an orderly manner and kind of have a reference to when the recording actually started. This can be done also directly from here. So if I go hello, and then I'm going to do something like day, month, year, and I start recording, the system will automatically see it on the top here in the red writing hello, and I have 10/02/2021, which is today. And that's kind of done all automatically with this automatic syntax. What else do I want to tell you? The system can actually control external devices like routing switchers and master controls. And this is kind of nice because if you have your system, your Xingest plugged into the routing matrix, what you can do is actually create a list of sources which then you can actually select on the fly directly from the GUI. So you don't need the router control panel to do that, and that's kind of interesting. And the nice thing is these commands, once you've inserted into the system, you can actually put them directly in the scheduler. So this means that the scheduler can automatically change your routing section in order maybe to capture at 2 a.m. in the morning from satellite number 1 and at 4 a.m. in the morning from satellite number 2. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, let's go on with some minor details, but kind of important. We pay a lot of attention also to the audio section. So as far, I'm going to put SDI again here. Let me put that so I have more audio options. So as you see, we can capture as a stereo input 2 channels, and according to the board that you have different combination. Now I have a Declic Duo, and it allows me to choose between 2-channel, 8-channel, or 16-channel embedded SDI capture, which is kind of always interesting. But also, you can add extra tracks up to 16 stereo. And this is used particularly if you with audio over IP drivers, like if you have a Dante driver, LiveWire driver, or AES67, you can capture your audio and embed your audio directly into the video. I have some post-production customers which use that because then they reuse that audio which was captured in a, let's say, multi-track audio environment. Kind of interesting. Another interesting feature is the time code. Of course, we can capture directly from the SDI input the time code. We can use the clock from the computer as a time code. But if you insert an audio card in your computer system, you can use that analog balanced or unbalanced input as a LTC reader, because LTC signals is actually modulated audio. So at the end, you can use, this is usually for big TV studios which have a time code generator and like to work with LTC synchronization, and you can use that as well. Kind of interesting. I want to talk to you now about a new feature we embedded into the Xingest. So Xingest was born with the Playout automation suite. It's actually identical. It's the same, let's say, application we use in our Uplay software application, which is our production software. So when you go from the Uplay GUI and you press, I want to go in record mode, what you get is the Xingest. So we're trying to actually, let's say, make the Xingest our main core for all the ingest application that we do, and also use this for logging purposes. Why? Well, simply because we make logging applications. Our logging is called DML, Digital Media Logger. The ingest, our ingest core is much more modern. So it has a lot of options. So we started to think about, okay, let's make that. We want to use the Xingest also for logging. So what did we do? 2 or 3 simple things. The first thing, in the default file name, we added a specific syntax that we use in our logging, which is a long file name made of LTC, which is local time, universal time, the duration, some frames, some information. And then we added the split at the hour command. So what does this mean? That every hour the system actually will split the recording, and each new recording will have a specific name. And then we added the capture at startup. So simply when you run the application, the system will start capturing. And last parameter is delete after n days. So you can specify a folder where to keep your capture. Then you tell the system, I want to delete after 90 days. Of course, you set up your profiles, your inputs, and your quality according to what you need, and actually it has become a real, let's say, 24/7 capture application for logging purposes. Now, you can downscale the quality of the logging if you need to. You can use very inexpensive codecs or efficient codecs like H.264 or H.265. But you can use this also for recording 24/7 at very high quality, and maybe keeping just 1 or 2 days of recording on the hard disk. I have many TV stations using this system to actually do for rebroadcast applications. So it's there. It's recording maybe your major news channels and so forth 24/7, and when anybody needs let's say a segment of the recording, he can just go into the folder and take that out. Let's say rate, hello rate, is Xingest supporting multi-channel recording? How many channels can be recorded depending on hardware specs? And this is a very, very interesting question. So each Xingest needs resources. And resources, of course, are CPU, GPU, and some hard disk to record on. So according to the video input, especially the resolution SD, HD, 2K, 4K, according to the capture codec that you're using, there are some codecs which are lighter, like MPEG-2, some which are, let's say, more harder, which is H.264, but of course then we can offload that to the GPU in order to proportionize. You can have, let's say, you can make some assumptions. Let's say that on an i9 processor, I would say I can do 4 HD simultaneous captures. HD. I want to show you here, I have a logging system connected to my system. There it is, okay. Okay, and there I have it. And here actually I have a logging system which I'm building. It's actually a 64-channel system. Here we see channel 49 from 56. These are i9 machines which have a NVIDIA Quadro GPU on top, and I'm actually capturing 8 HD channels which are then downscaled to SD. I have to specify that I also have CG built on top. So I'm actually generating the date stamp and the time stamp and the name of the channel. And this also needs the CPU to do because it's high quality, let's say, CG generation on top. And all this for, if I take my 20% of TeamViewer out, I'm around 50% of CPU. So the number of channels, I would say in a normal system, 4 captures on the same system will do. If I need more, I can make that stronger and add extra CPU power. Okay, there's another question. Let's go with the question. Christina, hi Christina, so greetings from Germany. Hello, I hope you are fine. Do I understand it right? Is it possible to generate an SRT stream from any possible input available from Xingest? Yes, Christina, we have SRT since I would say 4 or 5 months now in all our products. So if you have an SDI input coming in into your Xingest, you have the IP section here. You can use it as an SRT encoder and simply select your SRT. And just a few notes on how SRT works. First of all, I have one channel which is transmitting, one channel which is receiving. But I also have a specific context in which one channel is called the caller and one channel is called the listener. And this is not necessarily the caller, not necessarily has to be the transmitter. It's just who starts the call. So let's make it simple. If I want to stream out, I would put here the IP of the machine I want to stream to, then comma, and I would have to put the colon, and I would have to put the port, so 2222. And then I have a specific syntax, which is interrogative exclamation mark, mode equal caller. So this would mean that this is the machine which starts the call. And then on the other side, I would just put SRT, maybe it can be with VLC, I would use the @ and then comma 2222, and I believe that a VLC always has to be the listener or something like that. If you're using one of Axel products, you can use the syntax, which is !mode equals to listener. Just a note on how SRT works. And then I have a million parameters which are typical for SRT to actually go and define buffers, latency, and so forth. So the answer is yes, SRT, you can use it directly from our software. What is the delay from input to SRT output? Thanks. So I just tried it in a normal setup. I would say that I have a delay around less than a second, but this is tweakable. And this depends on your buffers, and I have here latency. And as you see, there's some notes on the bottom. This is typical. You would have to look at, these parameters are imposed by the SRT standard. And so tweaking these parameters, I know you can go as low as 200 or 300 milliseconds. But you would have to tweak them themselves, and it depends on the strength of your network. Okay. Some things, some last things, since we're almost done, we're almost a half hour, some last things about our Xingest. One interesting thing is we've put notification alarms inside, so you can define, let's say, thresholds for video input, black or non-black, video freeze, audio levels, data rates to the hard disk. For each of these, you can define if you want alarms and notification. And so as far as notification, you can get some emails, SMS, run some batch files, etc. So that's kind of interesting. So alarms and notification built in the product. This is a new entry. And then, of course, all these alarms and notification can be used in a SNMP environment. Some big infrastructures have their SNMP supervisor systems. They can connect directly to the machine, directly to the ingest application, and get information regarding the video inputs, audio inputs, and the status of the machine. Okay, so if you want to try out the product, you can go on our website, www.axeltechnology.com, go on the XTV automation product, download that setup. There's a demo version. Inside the package, you will find many softwares. Among these, of course, I have the Xingest. One last thing, which is kind of interesting of the Xingest, is that Xingest does support play while rec. So you can capture with Xingest and pull up your favorite editing software, and you can actually drag and drop that file, and the softwares like Adobe Premiere will be able to play it. Adobe Premiere refreshes the duration every minute, something like that. So you can do play while rec applications. If I want to show you, also with the trimmer, which is a free component of our XTV suite, I'm going to drag and drop that file directly on the trimmer. What I can do is I can play it out. Come on. Play it out, please. Oh, there it is. Okay. Do some mark in and mark out. Okay, something like that. Mark out. And then what I'm going to do is extract the subclip. So I can actually choose a codec, and while I'm recording, I can actually extract the segments. I have a very nice application. I have people doing the live show. Maybe the live show is 2 or 3 hours. They want to capture it for use the recording later. But while they are capturing, they are actually extracting segments so they can then publish it on Facebook and try to do some, social media promotion to get people involved and tune in onto the program. So really cool application. Federico, hi Federico. My favorite feature for Xingest is the web remote control. Wow, Federico, I have a bit of bad news for you. The web remote control stopped working, and I'll explain why. There's Adobe Flash, which is used in the web management and the web interfaces, actually published a time bomb and stopped finally. It was years they were telling people that for sooner or later it would have gone an end of life. We used that component in the web remote control, so unluckily we had to unpublish it, but it will come back soon. They're working on it already. This is something that happened very recently. They're working on it, and they'll put it back up without, of course, just the flash remote component on top. Sorry for that, Federico. Actually, it was something that Adobe was saying they would go in end of life for many years now. And nobody believed it until they actually did. So I'm sorry for that. Okay, I think our time is up. So go and download the demo version. If you have any questions, please do write an email to our sales department, which is sales@axeltechnology.com. Thank you, Gianluca Righi, for technical coordination. Thanks to Stefano Grego for let's say, general organization of the event. And thank you all for tuning in, and until next time. Bye-bye.